Just read an article on two articles on masturbation and between masturbation and porn. Masturbation versus porn. Which one would you choose and why? Well, both articles are making the same point. One article was saying that when people masturbate, their brain goes to this hyper creative, imaginative state. Basically, if you're masturbating yourself to orgasm, look how much your brain is activated. Look how much imagination is involved. You're using pure mind power to give your body the state of ecstasy that nothing else can match. That is the power of the imagination. If people can sort of lock in that mode of imagination and creativity more, they have more of a chance to become the next great artist, engineer, scientist, visionaries. Now it's a little far stretched, but the point is that everybody masturbates, right? And for most people, that's the only part of their day or the only part of their lives that they engage in this intensive imaginary thinking. But for artists and writers and musicians and creative people, scientists, they do that day in, day out on their jobs, right? But nothing, even Leonardo da Vinci's, the way his brain is operating when he's conjuring up the Mona Lisa, even during that mental state, that doesn't beat the act, the sort of the imaginary power that masturbation produces. If you want to, will yourself to an orgasm. And one of the reasons why I think I'm such an imaginative person is because I've been masturbating to my imagination since I was like 5. Each time you engage in that mindset, that mode, you're making yourself a more creative person. You're practicing to use the mind power to bring something into to make your body explode. You're fucking blowing up your body with your mind. You know what I'm saying? If you want to watch porn, turn off the fucking screen and just listen to the sound. If you can't live without porn, if you're addicted to porn, if you're not imagining enough to completely produce your own stimulant, your internal stimulant, then turn off the screen. Just listen to the sound. Try that once in a while. See how that goes. You don't always need direct stimulus, When I first started having sex with my girlfriend, when I was like, whenever, my first ex, and then I was like, fuck, man, get the fuck off of me. I didn't want her on me at all. I was so used to masturbating. I've been masturbating since I was 5 years old. And I always masturbated to my own imagination. Your imagination is always the best that you can produce. This is why scary movies are so scary when they don't show anything. Because you fill your mind with the scariest image there is, right? When they give you the image, you're like, man, fuck, this is boring, right? So in a way, I create this most elaborate fantasies in my mind. And then when I actually had sex for the first time, I was like, this just sucks. I was going through this motion, right? And I was like, what the fuck is she doing, man? Get off me. Just let me masturbate. I couldn't get over the fact that I had to have sex with a real person. I still can't get over that fact. I still sometimes prefer masturbation over real sex. And sometimes when I have sex, it's just so that I can recreate that moment or sort of elaborate that moment in my mind later when I masturbate, thinking about that scenario. How fucked up is that? I have sex so that I can masturbate to that scenario later and make it better. Man, how fucked up is that? Yeah. So, yeah, and I was like, I remember I almost had a nightmare. I couldn't get a boner at all, actually, the first time I had sex. I couldn't understand why I needed another body to replace my hand. Basically, I had to try really hard to turn that body into a hand and just, space out and be like, you don't exist. You don't exist. You don't have to be like that. I'm just saying that maybe you can try to create a more... Basically, See, here's the thing. People always brag about how many people they fucked. Well, I fucked hundreds. But I don't care about that. All that's in reality. In my mind, in my imaginary world, which I believe your imaginary world, your dreamscape, is as real as reality. The most imaginary people have sex with, well, are the happiest. You know why? Because they have sex with like the whole fucking universe. I think I've had sex with like, you know, millions of, not just people anymore in my mind, man. My fucking animals, trees, stars, black holes, caves, Batman, just the band's mask, not even his arms, barbells. You know, that's why I'm connected to the universe, man. When you only watch porn, you only see the titties. Man, it's a little far stretch, man. That's just me. You know, you don't have to take this far. You know, just the advice. If you can masturbate to an orgasm, which all of us, most of us can, the image that the brain produces during this act of imagining has to be so clear and so distinct and so real that the body thinks that you're really having sex and you're really trying to pass your genes. So that if you practice this more, or especially if you master more to your imagination, it's better for everything. For even if you're not an artist, it's better for you to visualize about the future so you can, you know, have an easier time, you know, bringing that into reality. You know, or even if to the weight room, you know, good weightlifters are good visualizers. You know, good sports, good athletes are all good visualizers. The philosopher Zyzz, he said something that really touched me. He said that when people have sex, usually, or not, well, at times, for me it's a lot of times, but for most people, this happens to everybody too. Sometimes when you have sex, because sex is the best when it's a fantasy. When you fulfill that fantasy, there's nothing more to, there's nowhere to go. So you're fucking, and then all of a sudden, your brain becomes a total blank. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're like, what is this ridiculous, repetitive motion? What is this sweat? Why is this bitch breathing down on me? Why is she moaning? Why is her eyes rolling back? And then you just lose complete interest. You know why? Because when you fantasize about sex, it's great because you're chasing after a fantasy, right? There's a space, right? There's a space between what's real and what's imagined, and that space is what drives people. That space is what moves us, to makes us go forward. But when that space is fulfilled, you're like fucking. You're like, what the fuck is going on? My mind has nowhere to go because my mind is meeting with reality. And I mean, it doesn't always happen like that, but once in a while, you just go, what the fuck? You just start thinking about other shit, like brushing your teeth. You're like, you're doing this, and you're like, thinking about brushing your teeth, or thinking about like rubbing the you know, the car, washing your car or something, like some stupid mundane task like that. And Zyzz said that your partner is nothing but just a replaceable of your hand, like I said before. It's just a elaborate sex doll, really.